Kamran Khan, President and CEO of Pureinsights Technology Corp, and again, a longtime KMWorld supporter. And as an investor and President and CEO of Pureinsights, Kamran provides the company with clear, pragmatic leadership. He helps organizations go beyond traditional search by leveraging search and complementary AI technologies such as machine learning, knowledge graphs, natural language processing, and large language models with ChatGPT. Do you call them chat? Are you on a first name basis? With over 30 years in the search industry, Kamran was a key executive at Convera before co-founding Search Technologies in 2005. The company helped organizations build search-based applications using commercial and open source search platforms and grew to hundreds of customers and 200 people worldwide before successfully being acquired by Accenture in 2017. Kamran has led Accenture's search and content analytics before Pureinsights. Please join us and please welcome Kamran Khan. Thanks, Kamran.
Thank you for that long introduction. And welcome to another presentation that's got generative AI in the name. I promise this is going to be high level, light, and I'm definitely going to fit within the 15 minutes. In fact, I'm going to start my clock because I have been yanked off the stage in the past. So just as the previous speaker said, I think that picking an application to apply AI to is an important thing and will help you get more success. I think search is a great one, and I think that hopefully this presentation will help. But before we get into how AI helps search or how we help people use AI in search, I want to just talk about generative AI in general. I'm guessing that more than a few people in this room have been asked by colleagues, managers, board members, what are we doing about AI? And the problem with that question is that there's so much, as you saw on the previous slide, there's just so much you can do with AI that it's not a one-shot thing. And that's one of the challenges, is what do we apply it to? Well, the obvious one is generating text. You can see from all of the presentations and the booths there that people are generating text with AI and applying that to their content. So that's one area, but there's so many other areas. Another area, and I think if you take a picture of this, it blew my mind when I looked at it, is generating code. A lot of our customers today are generating code directly from AI, ChatGPT, and it's actually quite productive. This is a video that you can see where somebody sketched out an architecture diagram, crossed out a few things that they don't want, and reversed a couple of boxes, and you can actually create the code from this architecture diagram using AI. So that's another great use of AI. Of course, you can create images. You don't necessarily have to be using text all the time, and I'm hoping that there's more productive uses of images. In fact, when it comes to multimedia, we've got a really great example I'll talk about in a second. It's more around sound than it is images, but there are some great use cases for images. So that's the challenge with AI, is that you've got so many different things you can do with it that you really have to focus. It feels to me like this happened overnight. It really does. ChatGPT this time last year wasn't even around. And it's just come from nowhere. Netflix took 3.5 years to get to 1 million users. ChatGPT took 5 days. I think yesterday I saw that it took 2 months to get to 100 million users. So it does feel like it came from nowhere. But did it really? How long have we been working on this kind of technology? Well, this actually started back in 1965. Cornell were doing work on AI and vectors back in 1965, and the first search engine, if you like, was released back then in Cornell University. And then a simple chatbot called Elisa came about in 1966. And then from there, there was not really any significant progress for many, many years. A lot of improvements in search, but it was basically the same technology. Until 2018, when we saw BERT, and this was a game changer. BERT came out. It was a machine learning model developed by Google. They open sourced it, which was a brilliant thing for all of us, which is really the foundation of where we are today, and it was open to everybody. BERT is a large language model, but it's not generative. But it is the underpinning of what ChatGPT is today. That machine learning model, that paper that was published by Google allowed us to get to this point here. And so today, we now have many, many different large language models that are generative in nature. So BERT is a large language model, but it's not generative. ChatGPT, Bard, they are large language models that are generative. And this will be more clear about what we mean by that. And what this has allowed us to do is it's changed the game in how we can look at documents, query understanding, and also summarization. You saw that whole list from IL that is basically enabled by this kind of technology. But underpinning all of this is vector search. And people talk about vector search, talk about featured snippets, and I just wanted to kind of touch on this, and maybe people in the room may see this as basic, but I find it really important to fundamentally understand all of this. Here we have a query, a box of clear finish Krylon low odor pencils. When we break that down into its ones and zeros and store it in a vector store like this, which is much more complicated than this, the vector looks a bit like this. If we look at a carton of transparent Krylon minimal smell, the vector's similar, and that's exactly what's happening. We're combining the ones and zeros from one to the other, comparing it, and that's what underpins everything. BERT, ChatGPT, this is what's happening. Sound is exactly the same. If you take a sound wave and digitize it, it's the same. We're doing a project with a large car manufacturer where we're taking sound from cars that have problems and matching them with a database. And it's working quite well. We are still tuning it, but that's another example of using AI. So these are large language models, but let's bring it back to search. How can we use this in the search space? Well, there's many different things that you can do with this. You can do frequently asked questions, matching, semantic search, cognitive search. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with large language models. The problem is that ever since BERT was released, we now have hundreds of large language models, some big, some small, some open source, some private, and some that basically are just government only. But this is the kind of landscape of large language models. And one of the challenges is picking the right one. You can't do that noise matching with the same model that you would use for text matching. You have to pick it, you have to tune it, and you have to, there's quite a lot of work that's involved in doing this sort of thing. But how does this help me? How does it search my content? What about hallucinations? How can I use it inside my organization? Well, here's how we look at it. Use the large language model, ChatGPT, as the brain. It's been trained on the internet. We can now incrementally train our own content and firewall that content off. About 6 months ago, we were allowed to do that, and that enables us to just get answers from our content. Use the large language model as the brain, apply it to your content, and then you can start to interrogate, as I call it, your content. This is actually called retrieval augmented generation. I don't know who came up with that. RAG, I don't like it, but that's what it is. You'll hear this term quite often, and what it means is I can apply a large language model to my own content and firewall it off, which has a number of advantages. One advantage I'll talk about in a second is security. But will AI replace search as we know it? Or does ChatGPT replace search? And the short answer is no. The vector search gives you recall, but you need traditional search for precision, and so you need to use both together, and that's our approach. We say, take a hybrid approach. Don't throw away your existing search platform. Use search first, get your search right. As you were talking about earlier, if you don't have your content right, then your search isn't going to be good, and therefore your generative AI isn't going to be good. So get that right first, improve it, and then start to look at large language models. Maybe you want BERT to do vector search so that you can get the exact result that you're looking for as opposed to a generated result. And then finally, you can curate that information and put it into ChatGPT, and you'll get the result set. The other advantage here is people talk about security. If you just took ChatGPT and indexed all of your content, first of all, it's going to be very, very expensive. Secondly, there's no security there. People might be able to interrogate that content and get what they want. If you put search first with your security model and then restrict ChatGPT to just that result set, you're going to be able to restrict people's access to the content from a generative perspective. So this is not theory. We're doing it today. We've done it for a number of customers where we've built their search, we've added vector, and now we're putting generative AI on top. So let me just give you a quick example in the 2 minutes I've got left. So this is just a e-commerce example. Somebody's looking for hi-fi equipment. They've done a search. They've got their results set. And now what we're doing is we're saying, OK, I've got my results set. Let me interrogate this result set. So I'm going to say, what is a QXR upgrade card? I'm actually an audiophile. I know about hi-fi. And I want my answer in English. I can get that answer generated directly from this content because it's got a lot of technical information. I can then change and say, no, I'm not an audiophile. I'm a technophobe. Give me a different answer. And the answer comes back. It's definitely less complex, less jargon. I can change it and say, look, give me the answer as a child. And you'll see that it'll answer it and say, it's like giving the product a superpower. You can make it more amazing by it. So you can have these different personas on that content. So think about how this can add to an existing search system that you've already built. It doesn't replace it, it adds to it, and that's what we think. The other great thing is that I can ask a question in French, get the answer in English. Now bear in mind, none of this text is in any of the documents that we've got. So I now have an answer for all the all the multilingual problems I've had in the past. I can ask the question in English, and I want the answer in French. I can get that too. Again, there's no French content here. And just to belabor the point, I can get the answer in Hindi from English. So this is not straightforward to do. I'm not trying to say that this is something you can plug and play. We as an organization help people. We have tools to be able to do that, pick the language model, work with the different capabilities to help integrate all this. Some of the vendors outside have already done this with text. You should take a look at some of the integrations there. So the takeaways are that, look, Gen AI and large language models will absolutely take a search solution and take it to a whole new level and delight customers. Don't throw away your old system. You need that search solution underpinning it. What you have today needs to be improved, and then do it systematically. Start with search, maybe add vectors, and then add a large language model. If you jump straight to the shiny object of the large language model, then it's not going to work very well because you have to have that baseline underneath. And later today, I'm going to be on a panel if you have any questions about that, and I'm sure we'll have others. And my colleague is doing a presentation on issues in migration. And please come and visit us at the booth if you have any other questions. Thank you.